Hello, this is Josiah, and I'm doing a different kind of video for this channel. One that is probably completely out in left field for anybody who's been watching any of my recent videos. This ain't a rant video. It's not me talking about Dead by Daylight, but rather, it's me talking about a franchise that is near and dear to my heart, Final Fantasy. For those of you who don't know, which is probably the majority of you, I am a hardcore Final Fantasy fan. My childhood game was Final Fantasy VI. It is the game I grew up with. It was my first Final Fantasy, and the one that I swear by to this day that if Square Enix remakes that game, they better do it right. Otherwise, I don't know, hell to pay, whatever you want to think. But yeah, getting on to the topic at hand, I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is not a theory video. This is me talking about one key moment in the game that is going to come into play in Rebirth. Because from what we've been told, this is going to go all the way up the Forgotten Capital. That means we are going all the way up to the end of Disc 1, to the point where Ares dies. I don't know if I should put a spoiler warning on a 10 to 12 year old game by now, but actually I think it's like almost 20 years old now. But point being, Ares dies at the end of Disc 1. And the biggest thing about this moment was it was a motivator and a bonding moment for Cloud and the crew. It is what brought them together and created the motivation they needed to pursue Sephiroth, not only for revenge, but also to protect the planet. Their motivations switched. It is no longer just about revenge or any of that. They are fulfilling Ares' last wish. And my biggest fear in Rebirth is they're going to retcon this. And for those who don't think, oh, well, they won't retcon that, they're going to stay true to the storyline this time. Well, in the previews, we've already seen the retcon ghosts, as I call them. Those little dust clouding ghost things that fly around that, quote, keep the true plot going. We've already seen them fluttering about. So, here's the thing. If there's one time I want the retcon ghosts, as I call them, to make a certain event happen like it should, it is Ares' death. That's the only time I would ever want those annoying little shit things, those annoying little fuckers who interfere with most of the events that happened in Final Fantasy VII Remake to actually do their job, so to speak. Because so many times in Remake, they would interfere in moments that just made me go, yeah, that's too freaking convenient. No, come on. And yeah, that is the biggest thing I am concerned about with Rebirth. Now, going on farther on about how Ares' death was the motivator.
All right.
Without her death, there is only a mediocre motivation to pursue Sephiroth at this point. For Cloud, it's revenge for his hometown. And for everybody else, there's really no motivator. They're just there to tag along with Cloud because they were originally part of the Avalanche. And, you know, if it's to save the planet, they're all for it. The rest of the group outside of Cloud has no major motivation to save the planet at this point outside of their shallow motivations that they had originally for blowing up Mako reactors. What Ares' death did was not only bring the crew together with a common goal but also brought them together on an emotional level. They all got close to Ares. They all thought of her as a really good friend, and her death caused them all to go, alright, we need to fulfill her last wish. We need to stop Sephiroth. I realize I am repeating myself a little bit here, but that comes back to my key point, though, about this remake and Rebirth itself. I have so many concerns with this game coming forward. With Remake, I enjoyed the game. I'm not one of those hardcore fans of Final Fantasy VII who will jump up in arms and scream to the heavens above about the slightest inconsistencies in the plot. That's Final Fantasy VI for me. But one thing I do have a problem with is the creators of the game attempting to retcon the entire plot of the game they are supposed to be remaking. A remake is a retelling of an original story with added features, new environments, and maybe a little additional plot points. It's not meant to rewrite the entire game's plot. And that is what they attempted to do at the beginning. At the end of Remake. It backfired on them real hard. So hard that they had to do a PR post in several outlets stating that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will stay true to the original plot that fans know and love to assuage their fears of Final Fantasy Rebirth being nothing like what they originally knew and loved about the game. That said, those annoying retcon ghosts are still there, which means I can already foresee several events occurring where they're going to get in the way and I'm going to be sitting there staring at my screen, my TV, flinging my hand out going, no, this is too convenient. They should be able to do this. They should be able to do that. There's no reason why they can't. And the only reason they can't is because those retcon ghosts are there. And that was one of my biggest gripes with Remake. When there was an event that occurred where the most obvious choice was to take action, those things would show up for no other reason than to fan out the plot and keep it running as the original plot intended. Now granted, you can look at this as a good thing and a bad thing, but here's the thing though, if you're going to keep the original plot, be more creative. Don't use a lazy plot device that you implemented new to this game to keep the plot going in the quote right direction unquote. In my opinion, the retcon ghosts are the most lazy part about Remake. They are the developers going, how do we keep the plot going when there are situations that are going to come up where they can obviously take action and derail the original plot? And I'm pretty sure the developers went, I have no freaking clue, unable to think of a creative way to make it so they can't. And thus the retcon ghosts were born. And yeah, that is my theory as to why Remake has those retcon ghosts to begin with, and why even Rebirth has those retcon ghosts. Those retcon ghosts are there for no other reason other than the developers' lazy way to keep the original plot running as intended. And like I said, they can be both a good thing and a bad thing. There are far more creative ways to go about this than using a lazy plot device to force the plot in the direction of your choosing. I can think of a perfect scenario in the original remake that would prevent Cloud & Co. from getting to the computer to stop the plate from falling down. It's in the original game! Like, no joke! All they would have had to have done was make Rufus run in there, press the button, or hell, while Rufus was fighting, have Food run in there and press the button. Or they could have had any one of the Turks run in there while Cloudco was busy dealing with Rufus and I can't remember his name, the black dude, to press the button. And from there, they could have said, well, this is like in the original game. This is not a regular bomb. At which point, the leader of the Turks should have shown up and said, yeah, if you touch it, if anybody but someone with public authorization touches it, it'll just explode already by default, just self-destruct on its own, fast hastening the process. The original had the solution correctly there with zero issues. I mean, hell, in the original, Rufus literally didn't waste any time talking to the Cloud. He literally just ran in there and pressed the button. He didn't wait. He didn't talk. He did what he did before Cloud and Toad could react. Yet in the remake, he sits there and just makes his presence known so they have enough time to react and try and stop him, and thus here comes the retcon ghost to make sure he can press the button. I hated that part in remake, and I hated every part involving those stupid little fuckers. And the one thing that really made it so bad was I wasn't even worried when Barrett died. Like when Barrett was killed by the Sephiroth in the Shinra building, I'm like, nah, he's not dead. The retcon ghosts are coming to revive him. And lo and behold, I knew it. And the reason how I knew it is because their job was to keep the plot running as it should. And the plot running as it should did not include Barrett's death. If the retcon ghosts didn't exist, I'd be sitting here going, oh my god, Barrett's dead? What the fuck? And having no idea how they're going to bring him back. But like I said, because Barrett's death was just there for added drama with no payoff. And yeah, I know this video is supposed to be about Rebirth, but I'm going on and on about Remake. The reason for that is that I'm worried the same problems are going to occur in Rebirth. These retcon ghosts are going to create forced plot scenarios because the developers couldn't think of creative ways to force the plot in its proper direction. And I hate that. I hate it when a developer can't think of a creative way to do something. As an indie developer myself who has spent 7 years making a My Little Pony fan game, I spent countless hours thinking of ways to make the plot run as it should. To make creative ways to progress the plot and create plot points for it. And even though the game sits unfinished, cancelled, I have many people who have played the demo up to its current completion point, saying this is one of the best MLP fan games they've ever played. Here's the kicker. My core inspiration throughout making the MLP RPG game that I made was the Final Fantasy series. My goal with that game was trying to make an MLP game of the lights that was akin to something of a Final Fantasy title. Since then, my dream to make that kind of title has extended off to an original IP that I am trying to currently make, although I'm having financial trouble with that, unable to get production going with it. But I digress. If I, an indie developer with no professional experience, can make an RPG that has over 800 people who have played it say this is one of the best RPGs, MLP RPGs they've ever played, hail me with that kind of praise. What does it say about a AAA developer company with decades of RPG experience under their belt at this point? He doesn't say anything good, I'll assure you that much. For them to have to rely on a lazy plot device like those retcon ghosts means they are creatively bankrupt. Now, in the preview, I did see a lot of good additions they were making to Rebirth. I saw the Golden Saucer, I saw a bunch of other things that made me go, okay, this is interesting. This is great. I love this. But the biggest pet peeve, the biggest sticking out in that whole stick pile of a game that I am concerned with is the plot. I'm sitting here worried thinking, it looks great, but how many times are they going to use those retcon ghosts to lazily push the plot forward in unoriginal ways? How many times am I going to witness an event that did not happen in the original game and go, why is this happening? And then what this retcon ghost reverted back to what the plot back on course, what it was supposed to be, and go, oh yeah, okay, I should have expected that. Those are my biggest concerns with Rebirth. Everything else is awesome. I love it. I just worry that the plot is going to suffer. If they keep everything running as it originally should, with no deviations, there should be no need for the retcon ghosts. If they are present in the game, which says they are going to change plot directions in how the original game went, and those ghosts are going to be there to make sure things either run in that proper direction or revert things to how they should. And that makes me so disappointed. I really hope that they've learned their lesson with remakes not to use those lazy plot devices. I'm pretty sure Rebirth is going to be a great game. No doubt about that. I just hope they don't fuck up the plot. Well, that said, this is Desaya signing off, and hopefully you enjoyed my little, well, I guess this turned out to be a rant video in a sort of way, but still, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop me a like, and if you want to find more content from me coming out, whenever I want to upload it, because my upload schedule is random as hell, hit that subscribe button. At the very least, you'll be able to see when I have new content coming out. And hell, if you're obsessed enough with my content, there's that notification bell you can hit as well, so yeah. With that said, this is Desaya signing out, and you will have a great day.